All right, YouTube Directv fans, I'm going to show you how to disassemble an RC72 remote. There's a couple little tricks to it. First thing you're going to do when you take this remote apart is take the back off, the battery compartment, and remove that screw that's down in there. Then flip it over. Now, you're going to take this black part off first, but it's a bit of a trick how this black part is attached. This white part here has these little tabs here and here, and when this thing is assembled, like this one is, you've got to reach in here and pry that up right in that area, right by the previous and the mute buttons. Right under there, you pry that up, and then what you're going to do after you pry that up, you have to push that tab inwards like that, and that will release this black part here. And then once you get that tab pressed in, you can slide a credit card or a spud or something along the joint here to pop it loose the rest of the way up, to about there. And then come over to this side and do the same thing. Reach between the black part right in that area, right there by the mute button. You're just going to pry that up with a little screwdriver until you can see that little white bit, which of course that's this one on this side here. And then push that tab inward toward the center of the remote, and that'll free this back edge of the black piece, the fascia, and then you can slide something in between there, a credit card or a spud, like that, something, whatever you got. And then once you get this top part free, you're going to lift this piece up and get these tabs. There's a tab there and a tab there that fit in here and here, and by tipping this thing up, you can pop those tabs out. Now here I've put those two pieces together to show these tabs here that slide in. I don't have a tripod to help me with this, but those tabs there slide into those slots there and there. So that's how that comes apart. So now you'll have this black part off, and now you want to separate this piece from that piece. And there's some little bitty tabs here, and here and here, and then they're there and there and there. And those tabs fit into little recesses in this piece. And basically, to get this piece off, all you want to do is start right here and just right there, just pry that up. And once you get that little bit pried up right there, shove something in there, a credit card or a spud, and just slide it down along the crack and it'll pop off. And you do the same thing on the other side. just lift up that corner piece right there, analogous to this piece here. And just try to get, you could use a little jeweler's screwdriver or something to get that separated right there. And then get your spud in there and just shove it down all the way around. And do the same thing on the other side. And you can get that piece off. And then you got the thing disassembled. Now, I assume you know this bit already, but what you're going to do is clean all these buttons, scrub the heck out of this silicone pad on the back with soap and water, get it really clean, and then clean every individual button with a Q-tip dipped in alcohol. Scrub them real thoroughly. And the same thing with all the contacts on the board. Each one of those contacts there, those black things, you're going to scrub every single one of them real thoroughly with alcohol and a Q-tip. And then commence your reassembly. Now, to do your reassembly, snap these two pieces together first by picking this up at an angle, engaging those tabs, and then snap it down, and you can get it reassemble this front into one piece. Then after you do that, you're going to take your silicone thing and lay it in there. So here I've got it snapped back together, and then you take your silicone keypad, and it's a lot easier to get all the buttons in the holes if you do it upside down, instead of trying to put the keypad back on the circuit board and then try to drop this thing down. It's a lot easier to put that thing upside down, put the keypad in it, and then you can take that piece and flip it over and put it on. Now be sure you drop your volume and channel buttons in there from this side first before you put the keypad on. Don't forget to put your buttons back in place. Now, holding this thing facing down, I've got all my buttons lined up with the holes. I'll just take and grab my circuit board and flip it over onto there. Now, when you pop your circuit board back down in there, you just line up these little pins with these little recesses, and then you can push this part down. Now, when you put your back cover on there, be sure to get the little slot right there to go right on to that battery terminal right there. You don't want that thing on either side of the slot, but right in that slot. There's a little slot right in here. And you want to get that terminal right in that slot. Actually, it's this one up here, this forward slot. This forward slot to go into that terminal right there. Get it lined up properly. You'll see me directing this battery terminal into that slot right there. I don't want it back here. I don't want it up here. It needs to go right in that slot, right like that. So now that's assembled, and all you have to do is just go around and just snap it all together. Start snapping it at the back and then work your way forward. Go all the way around and just snap it all together, but start back here. Start that snapping there and then work forward. And that's it, you got it reassembled. And of course, it should go without saying that you want to put that screw back in, of course. Don't forget that. Now, if you look back at the beginning of the video, it's right in here where you're going to start your disassembly. You're going to put your little screwdriver in there Just pry that up enough till you can see that little tab that I showed you at the beginning. And pop that up, and then you can work your spud up this way forward and do the same thing on the other side. Right there, about equal to the mute tab, mute button. Get your screwdriver in right there. Just pry that up a little till you see that little tab that I showed you that's a part of this piece, and push that tab in, and then this piece will pop up, and then you can work your way forward. That's the key to getting the whole thing disassembled, is getting this part off first and starting right by the mute button and by the previous button, and push those tabs.